Hello my friends, during the wonderful history of video cards, we've seen many different things. Revolutionary video cards, I'm looking at you Voodoo. Bad video cards, still looking at you Voodoo. Beautiful video cards, powerful video cards. But also integrated wannabes, like this amazing integrated chip from Intel, the mighty Intel GMA 950. This video card came out in 2005, has 4 pixel pipelines, shader model 2.0 and supports DirectX 9. I have this tiny motherboard from ASUS here which to my surprise works perfectly and didn't give me any trouble during testing. Well done ASUS! An Intel Pentium D 930 CPU at 3 GHz, a hot and slow dual core released in 2006. And because it runs hot, I have a cooler from Cooler Master. Well, only the fan is impressive, the cooler itself is mediocre, but the fan spins so fast it sounds like it's flying. Listen to this. I'll be using 2GB of DDR2 800 MHz RAM and a 160GB SATA hard drive. That's it. If you were worried I'd kill the poor integrated video card, you can relax for now. I'm starting with something classic from 1999, the immortal Quake 3. I'll begin with something lighter, 800x600 high quality. Resolution is very important when it comes to integrated video cards, as they usually can't handle very high resolutions. I played the full match up to 20 frags and I chose this map because you can see all the bots at the same time, and I always play with 4 bots. If any of you want to join, I can set up a dedicated server and make it 5. I didn't want to complicate things with 1% lows and other crazy metrics. No one really looks at that stuff anyway. Does anyone even look at that? So, all we have is the FPS counter in the top left, my relevant observations, and this footage which is at 60 FPS. By the way, from now on I'll only record at 60 frames per second because the video looks much smoother this way. The difference between 30 and 60 is huge. 4K 60 FPS of course. I didn't play on the hardest difficulty, I played on the one below so I could pay attention to how the game plays, not how the geek plays, get it? And the game runs excellent, mostly staying between 80 and 90 FPS, with 90 being the limit of the engine. Looking at the game now, I wonder how I used to play Quake 3 online on this map 21 years ago on a GeForce 2 MX. It was the map with the railgun, instant kill, and it was glorious. Best game mode ever. And the railgun in Quake 3 is in top 10 weapons ever. But if we want to see the real performance, we need to up the resolution to 1600 by 1200, double or nothing. And surprisingly, it's not nothing, because I expected it to drop to around 30 FPS, but no, it stays at 60 FPS most of the time. Quite impressive. But how does the game look at this resolution? Delicious! Of course, it looks and runs well thanks to this excellent display, the Samsung ThinkMaster 204B, a great display for classic games on Windows 98 and Windows XP, and although it has a TN panel, it does not look bad, and the input lag and motion blur are kept to a minimum. Let's move on to another It Take 3 game, but this time a bit more demanding and newer, from 2002. After trying several resolutions and settings, I settled on 1280 by 1024 low settings, 32-bit normal. It's 2005 after all, I'm not playing at 16-bit. No sir, we want to see all the colors. First of all, if it seems like I'm moving the mouse very chaotically, that's okay, it's intentional, and I'll tell you why. I don't want to talk about the fact that the mouse, a Cytec Cyborg laser from 2007, do you remember laser mice? Worst invention ever. The only advantage over optical mice was that you could use them on any surface. Want to play on the table while eating? Go ahead. Want to play directly on the desk? Sure. On the toilet? Why not? Or if you were a normal gamer, you just use the mousepad and that was it. So, where was I? Why I'm moving the mouse so chaotically? Because these blasters are completely inaccurate. I'm shooting in all directions, and if I move the gun quickly left and right, I have a better chance of hitting the clones. Now, the game doesn't look bad on low settings, but it doesn't run well either. If 4 clones appear on the screen, everything goes downhill, dropping to around 24 FPS, and the video card seems to be struggling in 2002. It's playable, but I wouldn't play this game like this, because Star Wars Jedi Outcast 2 is a game that looks so good, it deserves to be played at the highest resolutions and settings. There are games you play for the story, others for the gameplay, others for the graphics, and then there's Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I don't know why Wolfenstein is here, because next up is Midnight Club 2. And here we have Midnight Club 2, a racing game from 2003 released by Rockstar. Yeah, for those who didn't know, Rockstar used to make other games in the past, not just GTA and GTA with horses. And this is one of them, a racing game, a game that competes with the epicness of Need for Speed Underground, although the games themselves are quite different, at least in how they look and handle. The driving is even more arcadey than Underground and the city looks less shiny. I mean, the car handles like you're in GTA and the graphics look like GTA? I'm noticing a pattern here. The thing is, GTA and Midnight Club 2 are made in the same engine, so yeah, think of it as Underground in Liberty City, okay? And this is a wild game, don't expect the game to respect the laws of physics, just like in the old days. Also, the game has licensed music, so unfortunately I can't use it. Another unfortunate thing is that Fraps doesn't work, so trust me bro. I am playing at 1024x768 with all settings maxed out, and aside from a few performance drops here and there, the game runs very well. By the way, it was released in 2003 and you needed a Pentium 3 at 800 MHz and the GeForce 2 GTS as minimum requirements. When it's not running poorly, it runs well, probably around 50 FPS. And when it runs poorly, it drops to around 20 FPS, though in some areas it's even lower, like on this bridge for example. But on the other hand, the game looks impeccable, and the graphics are better than Underground, and more to my taste. Although it feels like everything is the same color, the guys at Rockstar didn't believe in the full RGB spectrum, just RB. And no, it's not because of the R&B music in the game, it's because of the Rockstar brown. There's too much brown, my friends. Now, I want you to tell me who here has played Midnight Club 2 and who thinks it looks better than Underground. Battlefield Vietnam was released in 2004, but it still uses the Refractor engine, just like Battlefield 1942, which came out in 2002, so it shouldn't be too hard to run. We can see this in the minimum requirements, a Pentium 3 at 933 MHz and a Radeon with 64 MB of VRAM. That being said, I have two things to mention at the start about this game. The enemy communication through walkie-talkies is very annoying, and at one point I think someone tells another guy named Pinky, they tell him to get down and don't die. If only it were that easy. And it's especially annoying because it repeats non-stop, they never shut up. And second, the fog on this map is gorgeous. And if there's one thing I love in games, it's fog. Fog and snow, the most atmospheric elements for me. We have all kind of destroyed and tall buildings that we can enter, tanks, proper urban warfare, as it should be in a game, of course. Performance, although it seems pretty bad at first, even at 20 FPS the game runs decently, and I didn't have trouble aiming or shooting enemies. Below 20 FPS is more painful, but it doesn't happen too often. I am playing at 1024x768 medium settings, by the way. Now, I didn't play a lot of multiplayer games in my youth, and I still don't. It gives me anxiety to play with other people. But if there are bots, I'm the happiest. I mean if I'm playing with bots, not if people are bots, because not everyone is. So I can play almost any multiplayer game with bots and I'm very satisfied and happy. I have no problem with it, especially since if you set the bots to a higher difficulty, many games actually become challenging. In fact, I love to make a video or a series of videos about the early Battlefield games, where I play with the maximum number of bots at the highest difficulty, and to see how that goes. I don't know what will come out of it, but I know exactly where I'll end up, on Mars, through that cursed gate. And yeah, I was talking about Doom 3. And Doom 3 is one of this channel's best friends, a game that doesn't apologize, doesn't regret how it turned out, and doesn't compare itself to other games from 2004. No sir, it moves forward through the dark corridors of Mars City to reach the source of evil and deliver well-deserved retribution. And the game also runs well on this integrated video card. Wait, what? Yeah, I was just as surprised as you to see how well Doom 3 runs on the Intel GMA 950. I'm playing at 640x480 low settings, obviously, but even so, I'm impressed. There are areas with 20 FPS, but not many, and drops below 20 happen when imps appear and start throwing fireballs, but the game doesn't freeze or stutter, not even when there are explosions on the screen. If there are more open areas with flaming imps, you might get some beautiful slideshows. Oh well, after all, the game requires a GeForce 3 as a minimum. Budget gaming from the mid-2000s? Why not? with a much maligned Pentium D and an integrated chip, you can play and finish the great and needy in the sense that it needs a lot of resources, Doom 3. Well done, video card. Call me impressed. You hit the target.
God damn it.
But you didn't hit the target better than Gun, a game somewhere between Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Revolver. I hadn't played this game before, I have it on PlayStation 2, but from what I played for this video, I can say it was okay. It's normal that I don't have a strong opinion, since I didn't play it that much, and the first part is mostly a tutorial, but I can say I don't like the visuals, but riding the horse and shooting the donkey, I mean the donkeys, all these half-naked pirates attacking me, because well, it's probably hot out there, while our guy is wearing a coat, boots and a hat in the middle of summer. Yikes. Where was I? Yeah, the gunplay, which is solid, and there's a mechanic where you can shoot in slow motion and automatically switch target between enemies using the directional buttons. It's some kind of tab targeting, it's okay, I like it. Well, this is what I want in games, my friends. Little mechanics like this that don't have to be overly complicated, but that add flavor to the game. Horse science, the physics for riding the horse is pretty good, it's more arcadey. Of course my horse, but it doesn't feel that bad. It seems like you can sprint with the poor horse endlessly, though it also has a kind of turbo when you kick it, and you can't keep kicking it non-stop because it dies. It's easy to control the horse, harder to do drifts, but you can make jumps, so it's cool. I am playing at 1024x768 low settings because, well, the game was released in 2005 on PC and has some special effects. I don't want to kill the video card, but it's okay, the game made sure I wouldn't, because it's capped at 30 FPS thanks to consoles, and since we're here, I'd like to express once again my unfortunate regret that many games from the 2000s are bad because of consoles. That being said, the game runs really well, mostly at 30 FPS, without freezes or stutters. We have a serious video card here, no joke. But no more serious than the next game, Sam V2. Yes, a game I've played 100 times but never finished once, a game that visually impressed me when it came out, and one I used to test the computers I bought and assembled for my friends. What? I was the village IT guy, the jack of all trades who bought components, assembled computers, installed Windows and games, and very importantly, removed viruses. I still don't understand how those computers got so infected weekly. So, Serious Sam 2, I still remember when I got a computer like this for a friend, an Athlon XP 2600 Plus with a Radeon 9550 and the Samsung 795DF. Amazing. And the game ran okay, definitely better than it runs now on my setup. Also, I love this city, it's like a budget Coruscant, love it. Fighting in the city, I will. I've always had the impression that Serious Sam 2 didn't live up to the first games, but after trying and playing it more recently, I've started to warm up to it. Maybe it's time to give it a chance and finish it. How long can it take? 10 hours? The perfect length for a brainless shooter with no story. The game doesn't run that well because it probably has too many particles for the poor video card to handle, which, looking at the performance, seems to be somewhere between a GeForce 2 MX and a GeForce 3, two video cards released in 2001, 4 years before this integrated card. I'm using 1024x768 medium setting and I think it's okay, decent. Siri, where am I going next? Yeah, you could have played all the games mentioned above, I'd say that's impressive. Integrated video cards back then weren't as sophisticated as they are now. Primitive technology, but very much loved, because not everything in life is about having more, being bigger or faster. Thank you very much to all Patreons and channel members, and until next time, give old components a chance and be nostalgic.